What's up, you guys? I'm gonna go ahead and get this party started because we do have Pam with us, and I know again I try to be respectful of everybody's time. She's making time for me because maybe she's busy, she's tired, she's still out and about. She just got out of court a few minutes ago. So let me. Are you ready? You good, Pam? To bring you up now, or okay? All right. She is coming to us live from her car, honey. Hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming through. Um, to everybody in the chat, I say hello. Y'all know I wanna I'll come back and speak. I know that what's up, retro? Um, the lighting, I know y'all can't see her, but y'all know what she look like, child. Y'all seen her
Yeah,
before.
sorry, y'all. Sorry.
It's all good. Cause you when I reached out to you, you said you were just getting out of court. I said, oh my goodness. Um,
Yeah,
but it sounds like today was
my
very
husband just put
interesting.
a light on.
Oh,
You
thank you.
said
You
what?
know what? The hubbies always be coming through in the clutch, honey. The hubbies be coming through.
Yeah,
Thank you,
he
hubby.
looking out for me. Yeah.
I know that. Listen, I know that's right. So we didn't get a chance to talk yesterday. You were willing. It was on me. I had to reschedule, but just a quick recap. Oh Lord, I got crumbs on me. Just a quick recap about yesterday before we get into the explosiveness of today, honey. Anything major that went down yesterday that's a major. I know they talked to the detective, the female detective, and they were talking about the song lyrics. But I feel like those are the questions they should have asked Kelsey when they had her on the stand.
I would agree. I don't. They actually had the female detective to come on and form a foundation that they asked her to look into the song and they went over some of the lyrics. And just for the audience to know, the reason why the prosecution did that is honestly the defense brought up the lyrics in the song when he was cross examining Kelsey. So it's almost like it's not almost, the prosecution was trying to respond almost to that testimony by bringing back former witnesses because that detective had been on the stand before. She was the investigator. She was the investigator for the DA,
Right.
Miss Little. Yeah.
But didn't the song lyrics say, didn't Kelsey say she didn't shoot Meg? That if she had, she would have da 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 da.
Yeah. She did say she
So
didn't
why would
shoot.
they call somebody? Why would they bring up the lyrics and the lyrics say she didn't do it when they trying to say, child, these people, I'm confused.
That's what I'm saying. It's confusing why they coming up with why just like today. I mean, when we get into today, that's why it's all over the place. Folks get mad at me, and I'm like, listen,
I saw
I ain't
that
the
they was
witness. I'm just
they was
telling you
giving
what
you the
the witness
blues,
said.
child. They was getting mad and Pam. They talking about some. She not even reading her notes. She said I was just in the court. I don't need to look at my girl. I said, oh, they
I'm
coming. They are
fresh out the
coming today.
courtroom. Y'all know I do this for a living, right? That means I have to write everything down, know what's important, be prepared to cross, be prepared to recross right there with testimony. So I'm good at taking notes. Like what?
Yeah. So I mean, anything else from yesterday before we get into today? Because again, I don't want to hold you too long. Anything else from yesterday that you feel like was important or was supported or disproved or whatever?
No, I wasn't. It wasn't anything too major. Again, I think the explosiveness came today
All
more
right. Well, let's
than
go.
anything.
Well, let's go on and step into today then. So I mean, I'm gonna just shut up and let you tell it.
I'll see.
Uh
Here go.
oh,
Hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Because we at my cousin's house. They live high up. They got all these small stuff. So, yeah. So today, Sean Kelly testified, and Sean Kelly is the quote independent witness. So he's the one that the incident occurred behind his house. Like he has a driveway behind his house, and the incident actually occurred behind his house. What Sean Kelly testified to was his bedroom is right there. He heard a loud noise. He looks out there and he saw two women fighting. So of course that contradicts Meg's testimony that her and Kelsey were never physically fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So he said they were violently fighting, is how he actually described it. He said pulling each other's hair, dragging each other, like it was a fight. So then he says eventually the other two people in the car, they come, well, the third gentleman comes out the car who was the driver. So that's Quan. He comes out and he joins the fray. Eventually everybody's out the car and they all, they're all arguing, fighting, tussling or whatnot. So the reason why the defense brought him, because at first I was like, why is the defense even bringing him? They brought him because apparently Sean Kelly in his first interview, or in some of his I don't know if it was his first one, but in the interview he basically said there was testimony that Sean Kelly saw the muzzle flash. He never saw a gun. And he said at first he thought it was fireworks. So people are just placing guns in hands, but he said he saw the muzzle, and the closest he saw the muzzle flash to was between the girls, the first one that he saw. It was between the girls. Then he said he saw Tory. Well, he called him the smaller guy. So we know it's Tory. He called he was out there, and he called him the shorter guy. I'm sorry. So he was out there and he joins the fray, and he said, Sean Kelly said he saw an object in Tory's hand and then saw 4 to 5 muzzle, like the sparks from the muzzle as well. And that Tory was real aggressive and angry. He seemed real agitated. He was cussing and fussing. Everybody was arguing, but Tory was basically the loudest one out of everybody in these arguments. So that's what everybody's going back and forth. He shot in the air, and I'm like, they didn't say he shot in the air. What Sean Kelly did was he demonstrated, like, pointing the gun all over the place. It's really what he did on the stand. The defense never said, let the record reflect that he's shooting up in the air or anything to even make it like substantiated that it's where he was shooting. He said the sparks were kind of all over the place.
Right,
He never
right.
said that.
And
So
then
that's
all
one
over
of
the
the
place.
big things people were coming at. But why you ain't say he shot it up in the air? Do y'all know what his charges it is? It's still possession of an unregistered gun. Y'all not helping him. Like, why am I saying that? You know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I said. I think people are just like so fixated on him getting, Go ahead.
No, that was the thing.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the thing.
I think people are so fixated almost on the whole shooting. They're not recalling there are other charges on him as well. Like, it's not just the
Right,
shooting
right.
Meg. I think people are forgetting that because they're arguing with me. I'm like, listen, I'm just telling you and he never said he saw a gun. He never said he had an object in the girl's hand. But he did say he saw an object in Tory Lanez's hand, and then he seen 4 to 5 shots. Now that testimony, I think, was not expected by the defense. They just thought he was going to testify that there was the muzzle shot by the women. That's what threw the defense off, because after a while, the defense, you can tell he was so frustrated. The defense attorney, he was asking the judge, can he call him as a hostile witness, like he wasn't answering the way he's supposed to or something. And the judge was like, no. So when they asked
Right.
for a hostile witness, that's how you knew that man said things that was not expected. So
Gotcha.
then the biggest thing was going back and forth on when the first shot was heard. Because mind you, so when the first shot was heard. So what happened is you get one testimony, and this is what people was telling me about. I'm like, I can't talk about everything in 2 minutes. You get one testimony where they're saying that Tory was the last one getting out of the car, and he came out the car after they first heard he first heard the gunshot. He ran around, so it was like he didn't even get out the car until they heard the first gunshot. That's one of the things the defense was trying to try to hammer on. But then Sean Kelly wouldn't just permanently testify to that. He said everything was happening so fast. Then he said everything happened at the same time, that the shots and everybody being outside happened at the same time. So that's kind of what's going back and forth on the internet too, because Sean Kelly was kind of flip-flop. I guess in his reports he mentioned getting out of the car, and then he testified somewhat slightly differently.
But I
So
think that's fair to say when something like that is happening It is going on all at the same time. And you that was 2 years ago. You may forget, oh, this happened, that happened. I mean, I'm not defending him because it sounds like it was all over the place. But I mean, I think a lot of us, that's crazy.
And to be fair, though, he was saying his son was in the house, and he said, "You guys have to understand. I was concerned about my son. This is a
Yeah, you
white
hear
guy.
gunshots? Yes.
Yeah, he's like in his 50s, 60s. This is a decent neighborhood. You hear gunshots. He was trying to make sure he had his son come from his son's room into Sean Kelly's room. You worried about your kid. He was like, and then he looks out, and then after, I guess somehow at some point Megan collapses to the ground. Okay, we're gonna assume it was Megan because he said she started crawling, limping, and then eventually crawling across the street. So who else gonna be limping and crawling across the street? So it was apparently Megan ended up across the street, assuming it's her. He don't know nobody's name, obviously. He don't know these people. So she's across the street, and he said Megan cowers up into a fetal position, and all three of them start beating her up.
And that's the part that shocked me. All the rest of that stuff, I was like, yeah, okay.
Exactly. That's what I thought was important.
That all three of them jumped on her, I said, what?
That's what I thought was important. And everybody was all concerned. But you didn't say that, even though it was shots, that it was in the air or that the muzzle was by the girls first. I need y'all to pay attention to these charges. His attorney should have been proven, either say it was mayhem and it was negligence and everybody touched the gun and tussled with the gun and it wasn't intentional. That could have been your defense. Or you could have said, just try to for real separate where Tory ain't have nothing to do with it. But the problem is, I think he was going towards the whole Tory ain't have nothing to do with it. It's just Kelsey. So now you have this witness come on the stand and basically say, oh, well, yeah, it was muzzle shots by the girl, the sparks by the girl, flash shots. But it was 4 of them by where Tory was, and he was angry and he was aggressive and he was calling her MFers. And then when they talking about jumping, like they beat her up, I was like,
that's the part, because you know what? Now certain things make sense now. Like, I was trying to figure out, well, Meg, you slept with this man behind this woman's back, and she allegedly was your best friend. Why you mad at her? But now I understand, if that's true. If it's true, now I understand why Meg wasn't in no rush to defend none of them. None of them. Why? When Kelsey said, well, I felt like she didn't have my back and she didn't defend me, I wouldn't have been in no rush to defend none of them. If that's true, that all of them jumped on her, why would I go out here and defend you? And it does make sense that Meg stopped speaking to her. And it does make sense that Meg fired her. And all of that.
Because it didn't make sense.
If it's true, right? It makes sense.
Yeah.
He's lying. She only had injuries to her feet. If 3 folks were beating on her, it would show.
That's an opinion. That's what he said. This is an independent witness. Meg did not testify to that. Meg never said that.
Meg didn't say it, and neither did Kelsey.
Kelsey didn't say that. In fact, he contradicted the events of what happened by saying it was a fight. They denied it was a fight. So this is an independent witness that the defense wants the jury to bank on, because you called him. So you want the jury to believe this guy, right? But I think he only showed. So then what the defense did in the afternoon was bring back Officer, I think it was Officer Diaz, to basically say,
I'm listening.
In his report, there was never any information about, all this about a guy, with the guns, like these 4 shots just came out. Or the objects, I should say. I want to be specific in the testimony because I don't want to mislead nobody. But the object in his hand, and then the muzzles and all of that, the muzzle shots, the sparks, y'all know what I'm trying to say. It's been a long day. That those weren't in any of the reports, and that he had never told anybody basically that before. And of course, had the officers go through Meg's reports on what was inconsistent. Of course, the fight that had never been talked about before. I mean, it was.
And that somebody in the chat said that also makes sense on why Kelsey may have pled the 5th. Maybe she was afraid that part of the, I mean, again, if it's true, maybe she was afraid that part of the story was going to come out, that she was a part of someone assaulting her that night. Now, I'll be honest with you. My first thought was what Nikki said. I said, well, we never heard of any more injuries other than her foot. But that doesn't mean that nothing else, I don't know.
Now we do have with Kelsey, she had bruises, she had a piece of her hair was out, but she told the officers in that video interview that Tory had pulled her out the car by the top of her hair. Now that makes you question her interview. That part of it may not have been true because she was just trying to separate herself. Like, if Meg ain't tell on me, I ain't tell on her, type of a deal. That's why I said, I was telling people, I ain't got a dog in a hunt. This is some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard, and I've been doing this for over 10 years.
This
it's crazy.
This is straight. I'm telling you, this. If somebody ain't writing this screenplay, I know they better be.
But it's crazy because
this story is crazy.
It's crazy. So like Officer Diaz gets up and he was on for like 5 minutes. He basically was saying he interviewed Sean Kelly, and Sean Kelly basically said that they got into the fight. So I think that's been established by him, that a fight. He saw two females physically fighting. He also said he doesn't recall if he asked, what the description of the shooter was, because that wasn't in the report. And he also said that he didn't give any questions related to who the shooter was at all. That's pretty much all he elicited from him.
But he put a gun. Whether Tory aimed it at Meg or not, he put a gun in Tory's hand, right? Through his testimony. Through the eyewitness testimony.
Sean Kelly, we would assume it's a gun because they said object. He said he thought it was fireworks at first, but he said his son actually found one of the casings in their yard the next day.
Wow.
So that's supposed to be where they only have 4 casings, and they was like, that makes sense. With one of them, I guess it was missing. They found it in the yard.
Well, it's one
allegedly.
Wow. See, this is some of the craziest mess. And the sad thing is, I'm gonna go back to what I said at the beginning of this. I think we've only heard from 2 out of the 4, but I think everybody is telling their version of the truth, and they're leaving out what is inconvenient or what they feel like is going to make them look bad. Hence why Meg lied about sleeping with Tory. Hence, why Kelsey I think all of them are telling their version of the truth, and they're leaving out anything that they feel like is going to, not be favorable to them, which is again taking away everybody's credibility. Because at this point, damn.
Everybody lying. That's what, because the eyewitness, he don't have no dog in the hunt either. You know what I'm saying? So he don't care. He just was at his house. He said the way his back of the yard, back area is with the driveway and all of that. He said people go there because it's the better reception. So people go there that's not supposed to be there, all the time. So that wasn't unusual that people were there. But he said he looked out there, and he said, I felt like the whole situation was bizarre. It was funny. Everybody was just laughing. And then it was like the defense attorney, Tory's attorney, asked him a question on, what did you hear? Did you hear dance, bitch, dance? Whatever she said, he allegedly said before the shooting happened. And he was like, I heard a lot of stuff. He said, did you hear them say something about Tory having the gun? He said, sir, no. If you want me to say that I heard him say, here you go, sir, it's your turn to shoot the gun. No, I didn't hear that. Everybody was cracking up. And then he has this accent, like he's this British type accent or something too. So it was really funny.
Child. So I was saying earlier, based on everything, the reporting, if as much as I think Tory did it, if I'm on the jury, I can't convict him.
No, it's too all over the place. Maybe if it's something of possession of a firearm.
I mean, maybe the other charges, but certainly not the assault. Mm-mm.
And then you gave her, Kelsey got immunity. Nobody ever took DNA. Like, the DNA expert came back. Now, another thing the DNA expert cleared up, which people was arguing with me about before, but I was like, I know I heard what I heard, and I've done this before. So the expert, he basically cleared up that whole. The light came off. He cleared up the whole DNA situation, which was talking about how people were saying it was a female DNA on the gun.
Right.
So what the testimony was, according to the criminologist for the DA, is that there were 4 different four different contributors to DNA on the gun. And he said that one of them they know for sure had male because of the Y chromosome, but it could be more. But that was only one that they could actually identify that it really wasn't, that it was a male. And that doesn't automatically mean the rest are females. It can actually be all males, but it can also be female. They couldn't tell. They just can tell because of the Y chromosome
Right.
that there were males. But of course, everybody they found female DNA on the gun. So apparently, I guess that's what, at some point, I didn't hear that, but at some point, the defense's expert must have said something about there was definitely female DNA on the gun. But even the defense attorney didn't hear that because he was like, "Are you saying that when did my expert say that it definitely was?" He said it could be male or female. The defense attorney said that. So that's what I heard originally. But apparently he came back as a rebuttal witness just to clear that up. He also said that you would have less DNA on you anyway if you get out of a swimming pool. Remember, they were all swimming?
Right.
That you would have less DNA anyway, depending on how long you've been in the pool. It's like washing your hands. Unless you if you wash your hands, you got to start touching on your face, touching on certain parts of your body to get DNA on your hands. So that's part of it, how much touching that you've done. So he was just clearing up about DNA transfer and that it's a possibility it was a female, on the gun, but that's not, it could have been all males. He just doesn't know based on the samples they had. But of course, we all know that they never took the DNA from Kelsey. So that was an issue with the DA because, so the defense attorney said, had you got information, DNA from Kelsey, would you have tested that? He's like, of course I would have. Like, but I never got it. So it does show that you dropped the ball. Y'all just pointed to one person. Because, Meg came in and emphatically said Tory shot me.
Right.
So that made them not even look at anybody else, it appears.
That's what it definitely sounds like. Now, let me ask you this question. Earlier today, Simone was talking to us, and she said that the problem with the bodyguard situation is they didn't subpoena him. They basically just called him as a witness and thought he would show up, I guess, and they didn't. Because my question originally to you was going to be, what is the consequence for the bodyguard for not responding to the subpoena? But Simone said that she pulled the docket or whatever. I don't want to use the wrong language, but she said that there was never a subpoena for him. Now you're in the courtroom. Did they use the language subpoena? Like when they're looking for this person, like
they never even used. The only time I overheard them saying his name, so I don't want to get it inaccurate, but they never, even when they said how it is, the prosecution rested their case today, but they reserved their right to reopen their proof if the witness comes. But they never said which witness it was. I think we're all assuming that it's Justin.
Right. Yeah, we are. Yeah.
But which would be a good assumption because Justin's name, I thought he was testifying Monday because I overheard them saying Monday, the officer was going to be there, Stogner. That's when he was available for the defense. So the prosecution, they produced him. So that's why he was there yesterday, but he didn't testify till today because of the length of the testimony. And then they mentioned Justin. I thought he was on detainer, so maybe not. I thought he had, he was one of the people that they were concerned may not show up. But EJ yesterday, he was subpoenaed. So I don't understand why.
It doesn't make sense to me that they wouldn't subpoena him.
Yeah, because EJ was subpoenaed. Sean Kelly was subpoenaed. Like everybody was subpoenaed. So that's the first I've heard of that. I don't know if they put it in the docket or not. If that's what she looked up, I don't know. I'm not saying she's wrong or right. I haven't looked.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, I thought I would ask you if you heard anything.
Everyone else pretty much was saying they were there because they were subpoenaed. Even Kelsey. I think Kelsey had to go before the court and everything, so she might have been on detainer. Where you gotta to ensure that she would come back. Right. So it's a lot. Then they asked Sean Kelly, do you not want to be? That's what the defense attorneys, do you not want to be here today? So that's why I'm saying he was almost unhinged. I don't want to say unhinged. That's not good. But he was getting frustrated. And you're not supposed to. And you're not supposed to let them. You're not supposed to let them see you sweat. You're not supposed to make it seem like, oh, the prosecution is really getting. So then when it was all over, This why I was so late, because when the jury recessed for the day, they went over the evidence on what was going to be admissible and what wasn't, and then also went on jury instruction. So then DA Bott, that's the male, he basically got up and said he wanted to address something with the court. He said that Tory's attorney kept been making so many comments to him, and basically was like, you don't get that smirk off your face, you're good. Like, I mean, just saying, like, almost threatening type of things or whatever. So I guess they addressed this in the back, said he's been disrespectful and unprofessional, called him a clown.
What?
And I mean, yeah, so apparently it's been some big, but Tory, and that's what I was saying. I was like, Tory's attorney just seems so aggressive to me. Like, he's friendly when you speak to him. Like, he was friendly to me when I spoke to him. So I don't want to say that. Maybe it's just the stress of the trial. But even his rest face, like, you can tell when he gets make all these faces when the prosecution says stuff that you don't like. But I'm telling you, Sean Kelly threw him off today, and you can see it all in his face. And then when the DA was basically making these comments afterward, he was requesting the judge admonish him for talking to him the way he'd been talking to him and cussing at him. And he said, I've never said one cuss word to him, and this and that. So apparently they've been beefing behind the scenes. The judge didn't, and it was addressed in chambers before, but the judge didn't make any type of
That is
rulings
so
regarding that.
crazy. That is crazy. Girl, this stuff. So
that's why I said, I'm like, I say little things. If I come on, like I said, on break, Dennis be wanting you to come on every single break. That stuff is kind of, it get a little tired. He want, he the breaking news person. And so I try to come on with him or whatever. But it's so much that it's just hard to even get out everything, because to me, everything I write down is pretty much important. But can I really go through 4 hours of testimony in 10 minutes? Probably not. So you try to say certain things, and people feel like if you're not saying things that are just pro one side, they ready to chop your. And I don't know what Dennis said before I came on there either. Like, I don't know. Apparently, because they was in the chat.
I even heard Dennis was questioning you about the witness, and he was like, well, did that, like, and some of the questions he was asking, I was like, why is that so important? Like, he was really, I can't remember what it was now, but he was really hammering home something about the independent witness, and it was something that I didn't even think was important. I mean, he obviously thought it was, but he kept, and you were like, well, let me finish, like, let me, and it was like, I don't know if he was trying to prove, like, it was something he was trying to get out.
He was saying it was a game. Something was a game changer. I remember him talking about when they're going back and forth on whether Tory was there for the first shot or not, whether he was there, meaning out of the car.
I think that's what it was. He was trying to get you to pinpoint the shot,
but you can't. Like, they're going back and forth, and even Sean Kelly was like, at first, I guess he agreed that that's what he said, is that the shorter guy or smaller guy hadn't got out the car yet. Then he said, well, it was all together, and everybody was kind of in this fray, cussing each other out and tussling or whatever. So then the defense tried to get him to say they was tussling, like, were they tussling over the gun or whatnot? And he wouldn't really say that it was two people tussling the gun. He said everybody was fighting, like, everybody was involved in this fight is what he was saying. And it was everybody cussing each other out, but Tory was the loudest out of everybody. That's pretty much the only thing he was, he was very, very adamant about that. But then, because he never mentioned Tory in those shots, that's why these officers that came, his attorney made it clear to try to show that this was testimony they hadn't got when they got their statements or information from him in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was something that was new to them. But the thing is, if you're saying he's an independent witness and you're relying on him, then if he add whatever he remember, how can you really say, just discredit this part of his testimony, but credit this one? Either they gonna believe he credible or they not. The crazy part is he did kind of go overboard a little bit, because he was like, they were beating her up, and he said in his mind he thought they was trying to kill her. And he said, I thought they was going to throw her in the river or something that was like...
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, okay, I think you going a little...
Yeah, I was like, you going overboard, looking like you watching too many movies or something, but...
Right.
But you can tell it was traumatizing to him, because he kind of was like, I have a kid, And
right. And Meg did say she was in a driveway hiding. She said that she went to a driveway and she was hiding. Like, again, I think there's so much. I think the truth is intertwined. I don't think it's so much people. I mean, they're lying. Yes, some people are just lying, but I think there's omission, and so
It
the
was a lot of
omission,
drinking too.
and
Chris,
that's
like
the
it
other
was.
thing too. I don't think there's a lot of. I don't think people. I think the drinking makes everything blurry too, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But so it's a couple of questions. I'm gonna go through a couple of these questions if you don't mind, and then I
Sure.
wanted to ask you one question about Whitehead before we get out of here. So
Sure.
there's one question, Roydell and Albertstein's cousin. Okay, the name is hilarious. And is the defense purposely bringing as many inconsistent stories as possible to further create reasonable doubt so that Tory is benefited while allowing some witnesses to avoid purging themselves? I know that's a lot, but do you feel like they just basically stacking all the witnesses to say
And
crazy stuff?
I honestly, yeah, they are trying to prove inconsistencies for sure. That's why they brought the police officers to say she never said this in her first interview. She never told you about $1 million bribe in this interview, but she said this a year later in 2021. Now all of a sudden it's the $1 million bribe. She never told you at any time that they were fighting. Of course, he's using them to try to discredit Meg's whole testimony. But honestly, I'm pretty certain they were not sure. They were not prepared for what Sean Kelly was gonna say today. Maybe
Yeah, I
part
don't think they were ready for that either because it
because
didn't.
they asked him to be a hostile. You can tell he's like, Your Honor, can I treat him as a hostile witness? That basically means that you lead in all your questions instead of doing direct examination. Now you get to do leading questions. And the judge was like, yeah, I don't think we've established that he's a hostile witness. I mean, he's just answering the questions.
Right, he just ain't saying what you want him to say.
Pretty much.
Real quick real quick, please hit the like button. It's 170 people in the chat. I appreciate you all for being here. Can y'all please hit the like button? My mods are dropping Pam's channel. She does commentary on her channel, and again, I thank her for being here because she could be very selfish and save all this commentary for her channel, but she is not. She has been here. This is her third time here. And then she goes over to her channel and drops her commentary over there. So I appreciate the time. I did pin her Cash App. Look, y'all go on and go on tip her, buy some lunch.
And
I heard somebody
I
else
need
saying
a
that the
drink
parking
after today. I need a
huh?
drink after today. I said I
Right,
need
go
a
on to
drink
buy her. Somebody buy her drink.
because
Somebody buy her
they
some
was
lunch
trying to
tomorrow.
drag me.
I heard that the parking is expensive down to the courthouse. She getting stuck in all that LA traffic. Y'all buy her a tank of gas or something if y'all don't mind. Y'all please tip her because she's giving us some great insight and information. And we even gonna get a bonus because I gotta ask her a question about Whitehead before we get off of here too, child.
Yeah.
All right,
Hopefully
real quick.
I'm not confusing and I'm clearing it up because I'm literally giving it to you how I think a lot of these reporters are putting things like he saw a gun in their hand. It was a woman in there, a
Well,
woman with a
people
gun.
are adding their commentary to the facts, and that's what, because I saw a lot of every headline so far, like the Shade Room and stuff, are saying Kelsey shot first. Witness says Kelsey, and I'm like, but I've listened to you and I listened to Conscious TV. He has somebody that's reporting straight from the court, and she's doing the same thing you're doing. She's writing notes and she's reading the notes, and her notes are very similar to what you're saying. And she said, listen, the testimony was all over the place. Y'all just gonna have to listen and let me finish because the testimony was all over the place. So I did not hear that the witness said that Kelsey shot the gun first. I heard him say, "Look, I saw, like you said, I saw it looked like fireworks, and then I saw him, and then it was just
It was
anyway."
all over the place, and they were
Yeah.
still going back and forth, and it still isn't clear if Tory was in the car when this happened or Tory was out the car. And I'm reporting that way, like on both sides. That's not clear. Yes, that's what the defense tried to get him to say or whatever. And apparently he told his investigator that at one time, that first he heard the shots and then he seen the smaller person, gentleman, get out of the car and run around and join the fighting and all this and that. That's kind of like, so their theory of the defense is the shots were heard, Tory gets out, and I guess he was going to be the superhero and was trying to wrestle to get the gun away or whatever. That's pretty much what because you telling me he ran to the gunshots, right? That's what you're saying.
Right.
If you saying that he shot, that somebody else shot the gun first and he ran out and he trying to tussle with everybody to get it or whoever had the gun.
Child, Captain Saberho, honey.
So that's pretty much, And then, like I said, Sean Kelly wouldn't commit to that. He was like, no, everything was happening at the same time. I believe he was outside of the car. By the time the prosecutor said, no, I believe when the shots fired, they was all out of, he didn't
Right.
say it was shots because he thought he kept on saying, I didn't see a physical gun. I did see the sparks from the muzzle. Of course, I know that it was a gun now, but I thought it was fireworks. So he never can say, oh, I saw. Now, he did say again, there was an object in Tory's hand. But even, and what was interesting too, is he said, even if when he saw the muzzle flash by the girls, it was more towards the car. It wasn't like towards like a person.
Right.
So I think people are kind of, you hear what you want. It's certain people that just want to hear what they want to hear just to try to put the doubt out there. But my thing is, it's people that believe, if you're unbiased, you can see how the DA just jacked this case up and then thoroughly investigate.
Yeah.
And they left holes. They left speculation. And what they did was they just believe, they believed the victim. They believed what she said, that it was Tory, and they stuck to that. And they didn't try to eliminate anybody else. They tried to talk to Quan. He wouldn't talk to them. Because, everybody want to know that. Like, why didn't you talk to Quan? He wouldn't talk to them. They tried to talk to Kelsey before September. She wouldn't talk to them.
So why? I mean, there was nothing they could do to make Quan talk?
Not before. They weren't under arrest.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? So they
Oh,
didn't
I
have
see what you're saying. Okay. But the fact that he was there, they couldn't subpoena him and then treat him as a hostile witness?
Absolutely could. I don't think they know where he's at now, from my understanding. But
Yeah, that is what I heard. I heard they don't know where he is.
Yeah, I think now that's the issue. But back then, they were trying to get in contact with him with information they had to contact him, and he never would contact them back, and they were never able to get in touch with him. We don't even know who this Quan person is, because apparently he wasn't even Tory's like regular driver or anything, because it was testified to yesterday by EJ that Tory, anything trying to make it as if Tory and Meg did not have a relationship of some sort, that was dispelled by EJ, because he said all through the quarantine he was dropping Meg off at Tory's house, or Tory was at her house.
They used to go live together. That's why I didn't understand why Kelsey act like she ain't know, because I knew. Because they used to go live together all the time, because they were working on music together, and she was in that Airbnb, and I remember them going, and I don't even follow them like that, but it would be posted on the Shade Room and stuff like that. And they looked like they were more than friends. Now, you can never assume, but if I were Kelsey and I was just scrolling through the Shade Room and I saw some of those videos, I'd be on the phone with my homegirl like, what the fuck? Yeah. Because it looked like something was going on. So when it all came, that's why I never believed Meg when she was on Gayle King. I said, yes, they was messing around. Yeah. Because those videos were very
intimate. Like, how you don't ask the right question. She said we weren't intimate, but y'all was closer than even that, because they were together all the time. And what I was gonna say,
they was getting it in. They was getting it in.
What I was gonna say is that EJ basically testified that he had never seen Quan before. So no, even though you seen Tory security, you seen Meg security. So this is a person nobody ever seen before, and apparently they ain't seen him since. So
got you. Okay, so I'm gonna get a few more questions. I don't know if I'm gonna get to everybody's question, but I'm gonna try, y'all. Nikki said, is it standard for the victim to be alive to say who assaulted her and it leads to a trial? So I guess what she's saying usually is the victim says they did it.
If the victim says they did it,
but if the other person doesn't take a plea or anything, it's got to go to trial, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Unless you can either plea and say you're guilty just on the principal charges, or you can do a plea deal if they offer one. But we know he's, from my understanding, from Canada, so I guess it may not be beneficial for him to be taking no type of pleas. I mean, his attorney is just trying to place as much doubt as possible. I think the detriment to this case, I don't think all the charges have been proven thus far that I've seen, and it's not any more witnesses unless we're waiting to see if Tory's going to testify. I guess it ended today, like I said, for the most part, but he has the right, and the judge has to go through and make sure that he knows he has the right to testify. He got the right to remain silent. It's the prosecutors, and I guess he want to sleep on it. I think he tried to talk to his family about to figure out what he wants to do, and I guess at the end of the day, he's gonna sleep on it. So we should know in the morning if he's
Okay.
gonna testify. So yeah.
So what are exactly Tory's charges? I mean, do, do you know what? I mean, I know you don't have your notes in front of you, but do you
I don't
know?
even have it in front of me. I had them written down too, but one of them I know was carrying a unregistered gun or possession of an
Okay.
unregistered gun. He has the reckless discharge. I don't want to see the way they word them are a little different here in California, so I want to make sure that I. But yeah, he has, I think is it 3 to 4 charges.
Hey, Andrew.
So yeah.
So somebody asked, and I thought this was a good question. Nowadays, so many people have like the Ring cameras and stuff like that. Did they mention that in court that maybe they tried to subpoena any footage around the house where a witness lives? Like, did he have any footage? I know they were like sort of in his backyard, but I mean, did that come up that they tried to subpoena footage or anything like that, or they had any footage?
Asked him. They didn't ask him, which I thought was interesting. They also didn't ask him because he said he woke out of sleep. They also didn't ask him, were you drinking? Were you sober? Were
Mm.
things that I thought I would have asked just to if I was the defense after he started being a little like adverse seemingly to me than what I thought he was gonna be. I would have been trying to almost discredit half of what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have not seen
Mm-hmm.
that because you have been, but that never came up. I think the whole him pointing in the air with the gun and pointing down, he wasn't just pointing in the air, he was pointing all around or whatever with the gun, like it was going everywhere. um the muzzle flashes. I think as the defense attorney, he should have established, like I said, let the record reflect that this person is shooting up in the air. He's making gestures up in the air as if the gun is shooting up in the air, and I'd have moved on real quick before anybody could catch it.
Okay. All right.
And then they could have reported that it was shown that he was, shooting in the air. But right now it really wasn't that, because that wasn't established. He said it was going everywhere, and he was like, it was flashes going everywhere, and he did hand gestures.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think Quan not testifying does speak volumes, because I feel like either he didn't want to perjure himself and say, contrary, or because y'all know I'm biased. I try to be unbiased when we talk about the evidence, but I'm biased about who I think did it. Like, I'm being honest. But again, like I said, if I were on this jury, in good conscience, I can't convict him based
Mm.
on what's being reported. I can't convict him. Now, do I think he did it? Sure. But do I think that the state has proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt? I don't. I mean, just based on what I'm hearing, like I said, I ain't in the courtroom, but that's just how I feel about it. All right. The charges are assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in the
Mhm.
vehicle, and then they add
It's
the assault.
it's a negligence type of a reckless, which it doesn't have an intent element to it.
Okay.
But they added. Yeah.
Okay, real quick. I just wanted to get some clarity from you on the. I'm switching gears now to Whitehead real quick. I just want to get some clarity on, you said you reported his case for the apartment buildings, right? The
Mm.
update on that.
Yes.
I want to make sure I understood. So you said that he got that the other people, not him, but the other people got a default judgment against him
It was
because
a
his lawyer never responded.
No, he got a default against him because you can get defaults for more than just not responding on the other side. You
Okay.
get defaults for other reasons. So apparently under Connecticut law, when somebody files a complaint and you respond, they can demand that you tell me what your defenses is, probably for a way to get rid of the case. Because if you ain't got no defenses, then we just gonna grant it for the plaintiff. So they demanded the defenses within 10 days under their rules, and Whitehead's attorney did not respond to those defenses. And so the judge granted his default against the apartment
So does
building.
that now mean that the apartment buildings are in foreclosure, officially in
It's
foreclosure?
a foreclosure complaint. That's what was defaulted. Is
Wow.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be
That's why I
honest with
said he
you.
having a bad week.
Yeah, he is definitely having a bad week. And I'm gonna be honest with you. And this is just my 2 cents on the outside. I think the man's running out of money. Wherever he was scamming, okay, let me not
Run.
use the word scamming. Wherever he was getting his money from, I think a lot of those sources have dried up. And he actually even said that. He said that he's lost a lot of deals in the last couple of months. People don't want to do business with him anymore because of all this stuff that's been in the news. And that's part of the reason why he said he was suing all these people. I think he thought he was just going to get a quick buck, a quick little come up. But I really think he's running out of money because the house is in foreclosure. They said now he lost the apartment buildings. He's got this court case. I think the man is running out of money. I think he's been juggling and pulling Peter to pay Paul, and I think he is running out.
Well, have you seen him on his Sunday service? I mean, he been getting on people's necks for not
Child,
paying
I can't.
tithes that they offering. I seen clips. I can't watch it, but
Yeah,
I
I
seen
don't.
clips or whatever, and he was basically really on people saying they not paying their tithes and offering like they supposed to, and yeah.
Yeah, I know he mentioned that before about again, he said that too that his donations are down, that he's not getting I mean, he mentioned that, and I said as soon as he started talking about losing money, I said, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Well,
Okay, so
and he blaming everybody else for that, and it's like once you got robbed, all you had to do was sit back and chill. You already knew the newspapers down there were already dragging you before we even knew who
right.
you were. You were just a local person that they talked about, but then you made it all our business.
Right, because he said y'all made me from a victim to a villain. No, you did that because you wouldn't shut up. If you
Just
had
like
just sat
that,
back,
like I
you
said.
had the sympathy. I mean, people were clowning your church. You know, they was clowning what the church looked like, but let people clown the church. You were still the victim.
Yeah.
But you turned yourself that night, and people can say it started that night that he called Larry Reed out his name, and he came for that lady talking about her weight. That put you in a bad light, and it went downhill from there. You can blame other people all you want, but that stuff came out of your mouth, sir. It came out
Yep.
of your mouth. All
Yep.
right, real quick, last question, and then I'm gonna let you go because I know y'all are out and about and y'all handling business. Earlier today when he did his live, still talking about Whitehead, when Whitehead did his live, me personally, and maybe I'm putting 20 on 10, and I asked my people earlier if I was getting too deep into it, but as an attorney, you tell me your opinion. Part of the stipulation of his bail, well, his being released, was he can't contact with the victims, can't open up a line of credit, had to surrender his passport. He said he never had a passport. That's another conversation, child. Now, while he was live, though, he said people have been calling me, telling me that the person that's coming after you, or the person that's in the indictment, we're going to show the world who he really is. He said that twice.
He did.
Me personally, I feel like that's a threat.
And I did too.
Because number one, we didn't know it was a man because we already knew the first victim. She already filed a civil suit. We know who she is. We know her name. She's an elderly woman. So we knew, okay, fine. But when you said it's a he, now we know that the person is a man. And we know that you're not talking about her. You're talking about this other person who's part of your indictment. His name is not in the paper, which means that whoever is calling you and we're going to expose him, they know who this person is.
Yep. And I said the same thing before he went live, because I went live this morning while he was live.
I was in your bushes, girl. I was at work.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I was
I
in the
did
bushes.
see you.
I was half in the bushes.
And I mentioned, I said it before I went on there for real. I said, what's gonna happen is he gonna think he's smarter than a fifth grader. And there's some people that you can straight up say A, B, C, D, and E and get off. I didn't do this. Just wait for me to have my day in court, innocent till proven guilty. Just because I was arrested doesn't mean I was convicted. I just felt like you guys are owed an explanation. Stay tuned. Peace out. So if you gotta say something, I would say don't say nothing, period. Don't litigate or do anything or defend yourself in the media. It don't help you. But yeah, he ended up getting on there and making those statements. And I told him, I said, didn't I tell y'all that he gonna end up saying something that he shouldn't be saying? Now, if the prosecution because the Fed's still watching your every move. So if they take that little snippet, what's gonna happen? I said, I don't know why you think they can't supersede indictments. They can supersede them. So why would you even put yourself in that position? Not to say that they will one way or another, but you have to, you may thought you was being slick about it, trying to prove that this person is a horrible person who is doing this to you, who said that you did this. But did you read your own indictment that 5,000 you allegedly got? The feds told him to get it
Go
from
ahead and give it to him. Give it to him. Which means they were already on to you before you went to old boy for the money. They was already on to you, sir.
That's pretty much what it means. But yeah.
Child. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go, Pam. I appreciate your time again, as always. So tomorrow, you feel like unless Tory decides to testify tomorrow, they wrapping it up. That's it.
It's just gonna be closing arguments if he doesn't testify tomorrow. If he testify tomorrow, I'll be having to rebook my flight again, trying to go home.
Listen, you ain't never lied about that, because that would be explosive, honey.
But
he ain't gonna say nothing. But it wasn't him; it was Kelsey, child. Anyway,
I done rebooked it like twice. I was supposed to go back. I came Tuesday. I was like, I'm just gonna stay a couple of days. Like, why I want to sit in court? I do this for a living. Then I couldn't. I was just like, it was on me. So I was like, man, Thursday. So then I was supposed to go home Thursday. I was like, let me just stretch it to the end of the week. Then by Friday, I felt like it still was a cliffhanger. I'm like, let me rebook it for Tuesday. Then the day I was like, they ain't closed. Let me go wait a couple of more days before I go home. But I got to get home by Friday, though. I'm getting too behind on my life.
Right, exactly. I get it. Well, I appreciate it. And I hope y'all, one of my subscribers, I don't know if you already know this or not, but one of my subscribers said that your video was on Revolt TV. So I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I've done an interview with Revolt before, so they usually ask. They wanted to do another one today, but they just shared my video, I guess.
Oh, okay, no problem. I didn't know
thank you, though. Thank y'all for letting me know when they try to,
Well, please make sure that y'all are subscribed to Pam, and her Cash App is pinned. Y'all go ahead and tip her, because again, she giving us this good information. Gave us an hour of her time after being in court all day. She was up early because she was giving y'all Bishop Whitehead content before she even went to court, honey.
And last night, I'm writing motions that was due. I'm writing out, trying to catch up on my briefs and stuff. I had to get out.
We're going to get you a drink. I'm gonna Cash App you some money for a drink, girl. You're going to get you a drink. And if it's something going on, I hit you up to see if your opinion on it tomorrow.
Okay, all right. I'll hop in the chat once I get my cousin's house.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Woo, child. Look, y'all. This court case got more twists and turns than a roller coaster. It is a lot. Tracy not playing. She want him guilty and Tracy want to deport him. I don't even think at this point Tracy care whether they find him guilty or innocent. She just want him out the country, child. Young Thug brother took a deal to child, and they all come tumbling down. Y'all remember that song? I can't even keep up with Young Thug with all this other stuff. I can't even keep up with Young Thug, child. And it's a whole situation going over there with the Young Thug case. All right, Tracy, I know you sent me the information. I'm gonna have to look through it, y'all. Look, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm about to go ahead and get off of here. I done gave you 2 good hours of content today as it relates to these cases. Sounds like closing arguments tomorrow. Hopefully Bishop Whitehead is going to keep his mouth shut so we don't have no new information from him. And maybe I can focus on what's going on down in Atlanta with this Young Thug situation. Okay. And we'll be back. I think we're going to do a teacher project tomorrow or Thursday. I'll keep you guys posted on that. And don't forget the Christmas party is Friday. Well, I'm sorry. The holiday party is Friday. If you could please hit the like button on your way out the door. It's 155 people in the chat. My mom said we only have 93 likes. If y'all could please and thank you. If you are not subscribed to me or to Pam, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and please hit that like button. It is both free 99. I appreciate y'all. Because let me say this to y'all before y'all get out of here too. A lot of these channels, a lot of these YouTube channels that are following the Meg trial, a lot of these videos are not being monetized. And y'all know I don't come on here and ask for money and all of that. But I'm telling you real talk. because there's so much language to be able to efficiently talk about these cases. You have to say the words that YouTube don't like you to say, right? You have to say gun, you have to say assault, you have to say, there's certain words, and those are the things that trigger the algorithm to say, oh, boom. And so a lot of these videos are not being monetized. So when these attorneys and people that are in the courtroom are coming in and they're giving their commentary, go on and tip these people. And I'm not asking for me. I'm talking about for Pam. Y'all know I don't, I ain't talking about me. But none of my videos that I've been doing on Meg Thee Stallion, none of these videos have full monetization. They have partial monetization, which means I ain't making the same amount of money on these videos. And none of the other content creators, if you ask them, they'll probably tell you the same thing. So y'all make sure y'all are tipping the people that are coming and giving y'all this front row seat information. Okay, so if y'all could go ahead and do that, I appreciate it. Y'all know I don't ask for me, but I'm asking for her. Okay, thank y'all so much, and I'm gonna get out of here. Mwah. Peace.